In this video, I will be discussing wind and hail damage claims to a roof and siding system. The fact that you may have a higher wind hail deductible than in all other perils listed in the policy deductibles. Examples would be fire, theft, vandalism, lightning, smoke, explosion, accidental discharge of water that escapes a plumbing system, and other perils listed therein may be subject to a $500 fixed amount deductible, whereas a wind and hail deductible could be a percentage deductible. And that percentage would be of the coverage A dwelling building amount of liability. So if your home was insured for $300,000 under coverage A and you had a 1% deductible, that could equal $3,000. Or I've seen 5% deductibles. So 5% of $300,000 would be a $15,000 wind or hail deductible. So you really need to understand this. More importantly, you must verify with your agent if you have the cosmetic damage exclusion endorsement. Our opinion is that this endorsement is bad for all homeowners and good for all insurance companies because it limits any cosmetic arguments. They don't owe to match. As long as a shingle, a roof shingle, they don't care what color it is, as long as it acts as a roof shingle, keeping the elements, the weather out, then it's functional as a roof shingle. That's all they're going to pay for. So it's a real bad endorsement. So we need to know if you have that, and that's why we offer a free policy review, because we need to know exactly what you have, what policy type you have, with what endorsements are made part of that policy. So if you live in southeastern Pennsylvania, specifically in the counties that we service, such as Bucks County, Chester County, Delaware County, Lehigh County, Montgomery County, and Northampton County, Pennsylvania, then you really shouldn't have an issue with getting wind, hail coverage added into the perils of a homeowner's policy that lists all other perils. However, if you live in a designated high-risk wind or hail damage area, then restrictions or limitations could apply. And you may have an endorsement that deletes coverage for wind and hail. Therefore, you would need to buy an endorsement, pay extra money to have that coverage added to your policy, or you may even need a wind hail policy in its own right. So basically, if you live in a designated high-risk wind hail damage area, then restrictions and limitations could apply with endorsements that delete coverage. Some areas you may have to get a wind hail policy or purchase the endorsement that adds coverage. Our sister company, Property Claim Tips, explains all of this in our wind hail damage supplemental course. The wind damage, hail damage, home claims help that we offer, we would need to see your policy to make sure that windstorm or hail is listed in the name perils insured against. It would be similar to this, is what we would be looking for. Here is a declarations page that lists a 1% wind hail deductible in the amount of $4,730 and lists all other perils as $1,000. So even though this property is actually located in Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania, which is approximately 100 miles from the coast of the Atlantic Ocean there, which is a high-risk area. Any properties along that coastal area would be designated high risk, and they would have issues with wind and hail being made part of their homeowner's policy. It could be excluded. They might have to buy an endorsement, a wind hail policy, things like that. So, but yeah, the point here is that you can see there's a $1,000 deductible for all other perils like fire, lightning, theft, vandalism, smoke, those things, and a wind hail deductible, 1% of the coverage A dwelling amount, $473,000 coverage A building limit of liability, 1% of that is $4,730. Insurance companies will send CAT adjusters, they're called, catastrophic adjusters, also known as CAT adjusters, out to an area that has sustained widespread wind and hail damage. These guys and gals pay for direct physical damage. If 20 shingles were damaged by the wind or hail, then they're going to write to repair 20 roof shingles. This causes huge problems in the industry. Understanding these arguments and options available to you as your advocate in wind damage, hail damage properties is what we do. Fallen trees. When wind knocks over trees and they fall and hit the house, they can be tricky claims. Say a neighbor's tree falls and hits your house. Well, you're going to have to put a claim in as a first-party claimant, not your neighbor. Even though it's your neighbor's tree, you need to put a claim in with your homeowner's insurance company and pursue that. So fallen tree claims can be tricky claims to process. If the tree is your neighbor's and it falls and damages your home, you will need to file a claim through your homeowner's policy as a first-party claimant. Certain requirements must be met when filing a fallen tree claim from windstorm, such as the tree must damage a covered structure before coverage would apply. Limits on debris removal can cause confusion, and a lot more. Please note that if a tree falls in your yard, landing in clear space, not striking a covered structure, then problems begin. There's no coverage. Again, if a tree falls in clear open space, like in this example here, there would be no coverage to remove that tree. No debris removal, there would be nothing. 100% out of pocket on you if this were to happen. However, there are times if the tree is blocking a driveway to get in or out of your house, a ramp, a handicap ramp, egress, ingress. So there are arguments to make, but they depend on the merits in certain circumstances. Knowing your policy limit on debris removal for trees is a good thing to know. This is why we need to see your policy. So we offer a free policy review with no obligation. So please call Advocate Public Adjustment at 215-364-4546. We would be more than happy to review your policy for you. Often there are times when huge trees land on the roof structure and require a crane service to lift off the trees or tree off the structure. This could cost tens of thousands of dollars that the insurance company is just going to push back and fight against paying this kind of a cost to remove the tree. As your advocate public adjuster, we know the arguments that maximize claims like this. It's really important that we review your policy before filing a windstorm hail damage claim. You could have this cosmetic exclusion endorsement that we mentioned earlier. This endorsement excludes all cosmetic arguments. It does not pay for repairs to match or conform to the remaining roof system or siding system. They owe for functionality. So if you have a black roof and shingles blew off and you called a roofer to come out and temporarily repair it, and all he had was white shingles on his truck, and he repairs the area that's exposed to the elements with white shingles, even though they don't match or conform to the remaining roof that you have, as long as they keep out the elements and they act as a roof shingle, the insurance company is going to pay for that repair to be a permanent repair. They could care less if it's white, black, purple, green. They don't owe for cosmetic issues when you have the cosmetic exclusion endorsement. So it's really important that we see your policy before filing a claim. The insurance company would consider the white shingles that were installed to be a permanent repair. You might argue that they do not match, but the cosmetic exclusion endorsement will make the argument null and void. All they owe for is functionality. Protecting the property from further damage. So protecting the roof or siding from further damage is a duty and responsibility that must be complied with per the contract of the homeowner's policy. You cannot allow the weather elements to damage the home further without trying to at least protect it from further future weather events. Leaving a roof exposed and doing nothing is the worst thing that you can do. As you can see, the wind damaged this in this photograph to the left. The wind blew off a section of siding. We had to have that protected by installing clear visqueen plastic with duct tape around the perimeter, trying to keep out any wind-driven rain, snow, sleet, or anything to cause interior damages. Holes in siding from hail, you need to put a tarp up and cover these holes up because you just cannot leave that exposed to any wind-driven rain or future weather events to come along while the claim's being negotiated and it's not settled and it's ongoing, and storm after storm after storm comes and causes more damage, that you have to protect the property from further damage. Wide-scale wind and hail damage home claims often require outside help from other parts of the country. Yes, insurance companies may deploy special units in their company designated as a storm trooper or a CAT adjuster. Because so many claims are being filed in a given region, these CAT adjusters arrive and upper management will have a meeting laying down the law and the company guidelines and procedures for how they pay for wind and hail in that particular state. Because each and every state regulates their own insurance affairs, there are many different interpretations and laws. So how the insurance company processes and addresses a wind and hail damage claim is entirely up to the region that the wind and hail damage occurred. So we know the arguments and we know how to maximize your claim for you if you give us the opportunity. So just because your adjuster feels a claim is worth XYZ dollar amount of whatever doesn't mean that we have to agree to that amount. We do have options if we are not limited by any endorsements that would restrict or specifically limit our arguments or limit coverage, therefore affecting the amount of loss, causing a price discrepancy or an amount of loss argument. If you live in an area that is designated a high-risk area for wind hail damage, then that would exclude wind or hail damage coverage from the policy, requiring the need to purchase a wind hail endorsement. This would add additional coverage by purchasing an endorsement that adds wind hail damage to your homeowner's policy that excluded it because it's in a high-risk area, or if you cannot get the endorsement, then you would need to purchase a wind hail damage policy itself. Okay, our sister company, Property Claim Tips, explains this in detail in the 9-step home video claims course under the wind damage supplemental course. It's very informative, and we suggest that all homeowners should really have this in their library as a reference. Estimating the cost to replace roof and siding systems accurately with software systems used in the industry is a key component when negotiating an equitable wind hail damage settlement. Detailed roof diagrams specific to your home's roof square footage is critical when negotiating replacement costs. Estimating the siding square footage, deducting for windows and door openings, creates an accurate replacement cost valuation. Here's an example of a trade breakdown or recap by category that is in all our estimates that we submit and that we create. So in closing, I want to say thank you for watching. If you have wind or hail damage, then I am asking that you consider Advocate Public Adjustment to help assist and represent you. Experience really does matter these days. Our fees are very reasonable and fair, no settlement, no fee, and remember that every homeowner should have a copy of the 9-step video home claims course in their library as a reference guide. We thank you for watching, and we hope that you contact Advocate Public Adjustment.